Hello and welcome everyone. Today is today is December 17th, 2022. We're getting closer and closer to Christmas. Daily Art Day 3613 for me. I think so. 3613, getting closer to 10 years straight. Wonderful. Okay, today is going to be, I don't know, kind of, yeah, this is going to be a little bit difficult for me because I've worked so hard on this painting and so long on it for a while, yet I've realized that it's taking way too long and I've kind of lost my way on it. So I'm going to start over per se. Not from scratch. I mean, that would that would make this painting take even longer, right? What I am going to do is, pull back and really assess what I want to accomplish with this painting. I have an overlay right now over top of it because I'm looking at some Bierstadt works, and what I want to do is, I'm really influenced by his work. I love the epic idea that he has in his works. This little bitty painting here. As I looked at this morning, because I was looking at Albert Bierstadt for some ideas on these darn clouds, because my clouds are frickin' ugly. I hate the clouds. So I was looking for ideas on the clouds, and I realized, wow, I haven't even achieved the general feel of the painting, and I'm getting like way too deep in the details on this mountain. What I've been doing on this darn mountain was, just trying to, I've been doing a lot of learning, so I've been trying to figure out the texture and all that kind of stuff when, it's such a small piece of the entire painting. And I also watched a tutorial that I purchased on ArtStation from Greg Kukowski. Oh man, I think I said his name wrong. Well, I was watching this tutorial from him, and if you don't know his work, he's just absolutely amazing. Digital artist and traditional painter. And I'm going to try and bring up what I'm talking about so that if you're interested in it, you could go and get it as well. There we go. I'm going to bring my browser down here so you can see what I'm talking about. So on ArtStation, there is this tutorial, traditional look, and it's in Photoshop because everybody uses Photoshop, so you have to kind of know that. So Greg Rutkowski. I was watching how he paints and remembering how, just about everyone, every artist paints, and it's just, very rough at the beginning, and this looks like a real oil painting. I love this textural kind of quality, and I've learned so much about brushes and things to get this kind of quality within Krita and in Photoshop. I actually bought the brush pack. Oh, this is $20, but it was just on sale for like 40% off. So you can wait for a sale on ArtStation. They do sales all the time. So I bought actually his brush pack for Photoshop, and also that tutorial, which the tutorial was really good as well. So here's all the things that he has on there. I bought this brush pack, which was like $4 when I bought it just a couple days ago. Just wait for the sales, and they'll happen all the time. But my point there is, as when I was watching that, I was realizing, wow, this was what I was learning within Nathan Folks's class on environmental design, which was to keep everything simple at the beginning, and to get that general idea first, and then move on from there. And don't don't move on from there until you get that idea, basically. And I didn't do that. I kind of got an idea, sort of, and then I went back into the detailed drawing, and then eventually I went back into the details of the painting itself, which I like to do on oil painting. But that's usually, I'm working from a photo or something that already is figured out completely, and I can work directly from that. But this is different. This is, a concept that's coming out of my head. So here's what we're going to do today. I'm going to look at this painting up here, up at the top left. So this guy, as small as it is, I'm going to probably keep it that small. And I'm going to sample colors from it. And I'm going to paint over this entire thing, and get that idea first. And then I'll use that overlay to inform the rest of the painting. And I'll probably, really kind of start over in some ways. Because the other thing I was looking at from Bierstadt, because I pulled down some other images of his, some paintings. And this is the one here. So if you look at this mountain, I was looking at this one as well, and I noticed that, can I get a pointer? Yeah. What is the select shape tool? I noticed that the way he's treating the light side and dark side of each of these is just really big, simple shapes. You don't need to go into all the crazy texture I was going into. Of course, if you look at these, there's like cracks and everything within them. And that's how Bierstadt, I mean, he gets really detailed. Do I need that? No, I don't think I need any of that. So I'm going to bring it back. I'm going to bring it back to its roots, to the general statement, the emotional statement for this. And I'm going to do it with one of the new brushes I created. I was working really hard last night. I was up way too late on this, creating a brush that looks like, and I have several of them now. I got this guy. So this one's a bit smooth, kind of like the traditional digital brush, right? But it has some kind of texture of hairs. And then I moved on to this one. So I'm getting into rich paint here. Let me zoom in on that so you can see. Look at these paint strokes, guys. I mean, this is a brush full of oil paint here, and I really feel it. Let me go to this with different colors. So I can select that purple in the background. I can select that dark blue. Oh, it's fantastic. And I learned a lot from Greg Rutkowski on how to do this, because he was doing the tutorial. He was showing off a lot of his brushes and stuff. And I was working with his brushes in Photoshop and seeing how, these brushes are built in Photoshop. And I was thinking, Krita has these new brushes. They're the RGBA brushes, they call them. And I can pull out one of those. I think I have one. Right, here's one right here, this guy down here. This is one of their brushes. Look how thick that is. And this comes out of the box. And but I didn't like it exactly like that. It was kind of too much for me. It looked like a digital oil painting thickness. And some of my brushes that I created still look like that in some way. Anyway, that was one of the latest ones. It's got a little bit too much texture for me. But I think, it was this guy here, this brush, that I'm really happy with. So that brush, And maybe this one. No, too much texture on that one as well. But just working with those brushes and really understanding, how to get that traditional paint look. Um, and I'm still learning on that, but this is what I'm going to work up this entire painting again with those brushes, or with these brushes. So let's start with the background. And, I've worked on this painting so much, this is going to take some courage to just kind of paint over the whole thing, okay? And to do it with such broad, uncaring strokes. So that's what you're going to be seeing me do here today. And right away, I'm looking at these brush strokes. I'm thinking, oh, this is too much. This is too much. No, you're destroying everything. It needs to be smoothed out. It needs to be, it needs to be something. It needs to be different in some way. But no. Stop. We're gonna work it this way, Chris. I really like how the mood is in this painting. I'm gonna try and keep with, how the atmosphere is working within this painting. The smoothing out and the reducing of texture, that all can come later. I mean, heck, you just pull out any traditional digital brush. Like this is part of Krita itself, this brush here. And that will get your smoothness. But I think it's more important that I get a ground of, these strokes down first. To kind of reinforce for myself, hey, keep it broad, keep it loose, keep it undetailed right now. Yeah, that's the sky. As you can see, I barely kept any of the mountain. And I'm going to I'm really destroying the shape of the mountain. Just this kind of broad thing. Sampling. Getting a better understanding of a lot of those colors. I do need to make this I need to make this a little bit larger so that I can sample better, definitely. This is undestructive though. I haven't the courage to just destroy everything. Hey Thinker, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're located. Yeah, good question. Will I make these available? Once I've worked them up to a point where I feel like they would be helpful for you guys, for everybody, heck yeah, definitely. And I'm not going to put them up for sale either. I'm just going to throw them up there for free because I think they would be really great. But, what would be even better is if I do just a whole stream or video on how to customize, get deep into customization, brush customization within Krita. Because what that would do would arm you with the tools that you need to make any brush you want, because they're kind of situational in a lot of ways. When you're able to make your own brush, you honestly, you on the fly, you can start adjusting it. And I see a lot of the professional digital artists, what they'll do in Photoshop is as they're working, they'll open up like all the brush settings, right? And they'll do something like, oh heck, I have to remember where it's at. they'll change tips. So let's change a tip here real quick. Let's say I want it a bit smoother. Oh, this has got some issues with it. This is a problem with Krita. Whenever you change a tip, this area here, this brush mode also changes, so you lose your coloration. And this image I've picked, it's too large, so I did a lot of learning on this, so I'll have to go through. So the professional artists will go in there and they will make adjustments on the fly. And only by, creating your own brush, I believe, can you reach that. And I just realized that, recently. Oh, wow. Is that the right color? Okay, I'm still getting too detailed here. Come on, big brush. Keep my brush large. But yeah, definitely. Some piece of that information I will put out. Probably the brushes and that information. So here's the brushes and here's how to make your own. Here's how to adjust these. That could be... I'm having so much fun with it. Maybe I'll do it on a stream very soon. I'm honestly just obliterating everything that's back here. Just too much detail. It needs to be dropped down, honestly. And I'm staying a bit zoomed out here, guys. I know it's probably hard for you to see, but really we need to see this in a smaller format anyways. I mean, I'm looking over here at my Instagram, my, what do you call it? Histogram or whatever, or Navigator. There you go. I was thinking about digital photos. I'm always looking over at the Navigator to kind of get an understanding of what's going on. Okay, and then we're going to be getting into... This is all going to be like kind of grassy area. Oops. Back to my brush. That's one thing that I tend to have a lot of trouble with is the changing of tools and the changing of layers all the time. Coming from traditional background, it's like brand new and different. So there's so much detail back here in the drawing that there's no way I'm going to follow it right now. So just going for that general idea. That's the thing is, as I do this, I'm thinking, is this really gonna work? Is it gonna, be helpful at all? And I have no idea. And I think it is. I'm pretty sure it is because, it's time to let go of all that extra detail and all that, too much time and effort to achieve kind of mediocre results. If I can get this broad statement in, and if it works, at that point, then all the detail that I put over top of this is just going to improve it more. And then maybe I'll really enjoy just keeping things really loose. You never know. Okay. This is the lake that's there. The lake has turned into this just kind of black area almost. Very, very dark tones. What's fun about this is, you know, there's a problem in oil painting, especially when you work dark like that, or really dark, is, you know, I really like how that's just, is if you work that dark in oil painting, you get a lot of glare, you know, trying to take a picture of it, or when you're working with the painting and it's so dark, there's so much glare that it's really hard to see what you're doing all the time. You have to light the painting from an angle and all this stuff. It's difficult. But digitally, I mean, I can paint as dark as I want and still see everything just fine, which is nice. And this whole area is just going to fill in. And I'm not even going to look behind here. Just going to fill in right behind the image. No problem. I have faith that I've hit every little piece. So this is more like the block-in stage. Yeah, it's like the block-in stage. I mean, I still have my drawing and everything. But I just really felt this need to just, you know, step back, to reassess, to get a better understanding. You know, I couldn't see the forest for the trees, as they say, because I was focusing on, you know, all this little detail in the mountain. And then, you know, honestly, what that was doing for me is more psychological in a lot of ways. Is I had all this little detail I was working with, and you pull out and you look at this big painting and you think, oh my gosh, I have to do that everywhere? This is going to take forever. And the motivation for this painting was just, you know, dying every single day. Thank goodness for these streams, because it's kind of keeping me, you know, on task in a lot of ways. Like, I feel like I've made a commitment here to show up at these streams, and it's keeping me moving forward, which is really nice. And that's actually a pro tip there. You know, it's kind of a blunt way to get into, to keep your motivation high and everything. But it's one thing that you can do to help with motivation is to, you know, set a deadline, or tell someone that you're going to do this and this is what you're going to accomplish. And if I fall off, you know, hold me to it, or help me, remind me of my commitment. And this is kind of what I'm doing. I'm reminding myself every day of this commitment that I've made to show up. Yeah. I want this to be warmer. And I'm seeing problems with Krita as far as some adjustments for here, especially for this color wheel. So if I have the line right there and I want to just go just a little bit over, it's really hard to do that unless, you know, I really pause and I, you know, tap it. But if I'm trying to, like, you know, move it really slightly with, you know, dragging, it jumps all over the place, and I get a hue value that I don't like. So I have to be more careful there. Probably because it's so small, and I don't want it to be really big, but I could probably use these sliders to better effect. I just don't understand them as much, and I need to get some understanding of it. Okay. The next stage of this that I want to do is I want to get this textured smudge brush that I have, which is a very tiny brush right now, and I want to bring some of this texture together. It's really juicy, super juicy texture, but let's see if we can generalize it a bit more, but not too much. I don't want to lose what I have here. Okay. Just going in and see, that's getting too smooth right away. I don't like it. I don't like it. Okay. What can I do here? Let's try changing the opacity for this layer. No, I lose all that color information and everything. It might be better if I make that the layer beneath and then change the opacity of what I've done before. Let's see how well that works. Nope, I don't like that either. Oh, that's interesting. I'm hitting Control Z here, and it's not putting the opacity back the way it's supposed to, in my opinion. Okay, it does change that though. Okay. Oh, wow. Honestly, guys, I'm not sure where to go from here. This is something that, you know, I'm having fun with. Trying new. Let's take one of the new brushes that I have. And let me adjust it. So the most important thing for these brushes are the brush tips. And the one thing that I also learned is when you have these brush tips that are PNG images, this brush mode is really important. Every time I change the brush mode, or the brush tip, the brush mode changes. And that will adjust how the coloration, you know, the color you put down, that will adjust the color that you put down. So, but what I want to do here is really reduce the texture a bit. And the first thing I'm going to do is drop down the contrast, because that deals with the contrast of this brush here, or the brush tip. But what I also want to do is make sure that when it samples, as you can see, I sampled this purple up here. I want to make sure that it samples correctly as well. because when you adjust the contrast, it adjusts the value range of this tip. And so it's too bright. So let's bring the brightness down to 10. It's getting closer. Too dark. It's a very subtle thing. There we go. And it's a bit smoother now. It doesn't have, let me put it next to like this brown color here. You can see that it's smoothed out a bit more. And that's what I want. Just to smooth it out a bit more. I can close this. Another thing about Krita, which I really like, is in the brush panel, you'll see this little edit icon at the top left, and that tells me that this brush here has some edits to it from its original. And I can always get back to the original really easily. I have hotkeyed the W key, which doesn't use anything on Krita by default. And the acronym there, well, not the acronym, but the idea is like water. So if you have maybe a watercolor brush, of course, an oil painting brush, this doesn't work, but a watercolor brush, and you've loaded it up with all kinds of paint and all kinds of stuff, you want it to get it back to its original state, you would put it in water and swish it around. So if I hit W, which is water, it goes back to the brush's original state. I'm not going to do that because I just set this and I don't want to have to set it again. But it's a great way to get back to the brush original state. So I could do it here. For example, on this pen brush, I can make it really huge and hit W, and it's back to where it was. Really quick tip on that. I use that key so much. It's actually really nice. So yeah, let's do this. I'm going to zoom in just a bit more. And let's bring up the image that I want to always kind of keep in mind of where I'm moving through here. I think I'm going to keep this painting really rough. I'm just going to try to stay with a big brush and keep it as rough as possible. See if I can, and this is one thing that I always have trouble with, is coming back to, or keeping it very simple. It's always like, no, I need more detail, I need to throw in more detail. And I lack the self-restraint on it to just say, no, I don't need all that detail. And I've done enough work on this mountain to get a pretty good idea of how I want to build it up. And here's where the color picker is going to come in to play. I'm sure a lot of the colors that I'm going to start picking here are going to be way too saturated. So I have to keep that at bay. Like I say, it's, lots of learning all the time on this stream. Figuring things out. Getting too detailed. Bring it back, Chris. Bring it back. Yeah, I want the top of this mountain to really get that point of light. And that's good. I'm gonna leave it like that. Done. Moving on. It's like I'm doing time lapse, but for real. There you go. You start a new movement in digital painting. Real time lapse. I paint as fast as a time lapse. Every painting is ugly because it's so fast. But entertaining. Yeah, and I'm just kind of responding to a lot of little bits and things that are happening within this painting as I'm going. You know, just point out little ideas from Beardstad's painting as well. And really just not caring a bit. You know, at this stage, just kind of thinking, yeah, let it go where it goes, okay? And I had that in light, but I'm gonna get rid of that idea. Do it, but keep it very subtle back there. Like it's just barely getting hit by a bit of light, but that probably doesn't translate well to how this form will flow. And I'm really just sampling like all the time from this Bierstadt painting. I'm totally cool with that. I really like how there's this kind of hazy red band going across the whole thing. I'm really going to push that here by taking this hue into a very red hue. You know, and how would that look if it goes into, you know, this side of the painting? It's not going to be that intense, is it? No, it's going to drop down to, you know, into purples and things like this. And it's going to get darker. Much darker. Nope, too intense. Maybe I'll grab that color. See, it's interesting. I'm kind of obliterating a lot of that texture I put down, yet keeping some of it too. It's kind of, you know, one and the same almost. Yeah, I don't even remember what I originally drew down here for this this part of the mountain, but that's okay. There's a freedom in working this way that I'm feeling right now, which is it's kind of nice. I'm not worried too much about the details and stuff. I'm not worried too much about, is this painting gonna look good? Is everybody gonna think it's great? You know, um, just letting myself just paint and respond to, as I put the paint down. Which is not easy to do. I mean, especially, I'm so transparent with everything that I put online right now. More and more transparent as the day goes by, right? My website, I post every single day what I've worked on, no matter how good or how bad it is. Most days it's not so good. But then, now with the stream, it's even more so, just kind of sharing a lot. And, it's kind of like a fear door that you walk through. And any time in your life, if you feel fear, that's a really good indication of, where you're going to grow the most. It's kind of like, oh man, I'm really afraid to do this. And I'm talking, more psychological kind of stuff, like I'm really afraid to jump out of this airplane. Well, obviously, but more in a sense of, personal things that you have going on. For example, oh, I'm really afraid of speaking in public. And it's like one of the biggest fears for everyone. That's a really good indication of, yeah, you need to do that. You need to go speak in public. You need to do that presentation that's scaring the crap out of you, because afterwards, the accomplishment is huge. You feel just a massive amount of growth after that. So those little places of fear in your life, that's where growth happens. So yeah, I'm growing a bit right now by embracing this fear and just saying, you know what? We're going to try this and see what comes out of it. I may fall on my face, but at least I tried. What is this saying? I heard this not too long ago. And I think it's from the book, It Takes What It Takes. And I forget the author's name for that. But he's talking about sports in general. And the saying is, if you want to actually hit the game-winning home run, you have to also be willing to strike out and lose the game as well. So because whenever you are in these situations where, the stakes are high and things are difficult, and if you want to be in that position, the bases are loaded, it's up to you to hit that ball, out of the park. You also have to be willing to strike out at that moment as well, because that's possible. So it both come in at the same time. So whatever fear you're feeling, whatever fear I'm feeling right now for, working on this painting and just really kind of dumbing it down to this broad idea and maybe destroying this painting for right now, I have to be willing for this to just not work out at all. And I'm willing to do that. I mean, it's not a game-winning home run. It's me working on a painting. But anyway, it's big for me. So, good stuff. So I always like that quote. If you wanna achieve really high results, you have to be willing to also fall flat on your face, because that's going to be a possibility. Fail fast, fail forward. I think that's from Microsoft. I can't remember. or fail forward fast, something like that. Okay, I like this purple in the sky. I'm not even changing layers, just throwing it in there. It goes up into this kind of lighter blue color. A more intense blue up here. You know, the one thing I really like on Photoshop is the sampling with... Oh, hello, Chen. Hello from Taiwan. Thanks for joining me. The one thing I really like about Photoshop, honestly, that Krita doesn't have, is when you're working with their mixer brushes and you sample with a mixer brush, it samples an area, and the accuracy of sampling is so much greater. Because rather than sampling just a pixel, it samples like all these colors within an area, which is really nice. So far, that's probably one of the only things I'm really liking Photoshop more than Krita. I keep saying it, like, you know, Photoshop is more a photo manipulation. They're doing a lot of stuff for, you know, painting, but it's really photo manipulation software more than anything. Okay, this one needs to be... Yeah, it's not really getting the color I want, I don't think. It's all relative there. There you go. That's closer to what I wanted. Nope. Oh, you know what's funny is I've been painting this whole time on the wrong layer. And I do that way too often. So you have to do that again. It's okay. I can just, you know, select this out. All that work I've done as I hit the scroll bar. Oh, that's fine. Copy. I'll paste it over the layer that I'm supposed to be working on, and cancel. And Control E to merge. And then I can do this. I can just select this painting. Control Shift I, delete. There we go. So back to the layer, although there is some there. Hold on. Okay. Back to where the layer I'm supposed to be working on. I think I'm going to go full screen on this. Yeah. Okay. Well, not even going to look at any other controls. I'm just going to paint. Except when I need to move this picture out of the way or something. Actually, I'm going to do that now. I'm going to put it in the very far corner so that it will be out of my way for the longest. Make sure I switch to the layer. Okay, we're getting into the bottom of this mountain now. And actually, I like this kind of ridge color here. just start making up stuff, honestly. Thinking about the possible terrain that's back here in a very generalized way. And I continue to sample colors because I want to get, a lot of variation. I love variation within the color range there, so, whatever I'm doing. Just adds so much more to it. And there's a piece of another mountain that I'm just going to put back there. Just blocking it in, just getting the general coloration for all this stuff right now. What's great about this is I can lose some edges back here. Makes this really nice. That really sends things into the distance if you just completely lose the edge. That's a bit too dark. Another thing that this does when you keep your painting loose is you're really opening it up for interpretation by the viewer. And I think that's probably one of the most important things that you can do in a painting, is give room for your viewer to make some kind of determination of what's happening and what's going on. Don't spell out too much. And the previous sessions on this painting, I was spelling out way too much. So we're going to bring it back. We're bringing it back to the basics. And really kind of pushing the envelope. I mean, here's what I'm planning on doing, or which I want to do, is see how much of this, just broad, crazy strokes of color and texture can I leave within the final painting and still leave the viewer with, what's going on, this narrative that I'm going for. One second. Okay. Sorry for the interruption. Some sad people in the chat trying to spam chat, and I have to moderate the chat. Unfortunately. I feel sorry for individuals that have to resort to spam in order to feel like they make money that way, or to make it in life that way. But I'm a creator. I like creating things. I like creating community, creating art, creating websites and things like that. And I feel like it's one of the highest forms of life, is to create harmony rather than chaos. Create something that improves the lives of others rather than detracts. But there's so much going on out there. Okay, zoom out real quick, see where we're at. Yeah, I think I could work some of this darker purple up this way into the mountain to give a more kind of gradual change of the atmospheric perspective there. Yeah, that way. Wow, I'm liking this so much better already. I feel like what's happening here is I'm defining kind of the principles that I want to work this painting over with, and it's more of a kind of a guiding light, and a bit more freedom, definitely. And I feel, well, probably the biggest thing is I feel I'm making real progress here, which is great. Yeah, this is super rough. Super duper rough. But that's okay. Okay, 1 hour in to the stream. I actually have another painting I'm working on right now. It's part of a tutorial, and I'm recording as I go, and it's oil painting, and I'm really excited about, and I can't wait to get to it today. But I'm having a lot of fun right now. It's one of those things where when I'm creating, when I'm into it, just want to keep going, not stop, keep going. So let's do this. Let's get this ridge line in that I like. It's a nice separator between the deep the deep background and this current foreground. Brush size is getting a bit too small here. I gotta be careful with that. I'm gonna keep it broad. Big strokes. Keep it simple. Chris. Okay, one thing that I do want to grab here with a small brush is the separation between the land and the the lake that's back there. It's probably a bit too small of a brush. Yeah, there we go. I really like that clear separation. And I can go big again and put in more information on that lake. And then add some of these darker reflected tones. Just really quickly. Bring that line back. Okay, not sure why I went back there again. But anyway, let's see where we're at. Looking pretty good. Okay, let me get this area in, and the rest is a foreground. And I think I'll end the stream for now. But I want a separation between this far foreground and this side of the bank here. So I need to pick out a value that'll work. Wow, that's too red. This is a very grassy area. Oh, wow. Within an hour, I really turned this whole painting around just by, simplifying there. I mean, if we look at this well, it's probably all small for you guys. I'm not sure if you've blown it up on your screen, but if you look at the painting at, a smaller size, it has all that mood. I just need to get the foreground in. And then I feel like after that, I could start bringing back in some of those details, but only do it in the places where it's necessary, where I feel like I need to describe things. That would be, those places would be where my main center of interest lie, which is this figure here, and the light shaft that's kind of hitting this person, and then the mountain. And then everything else can kind of just fall by the wayside in a lot of ways. And that's what I'm going to do. So the next stream, it's going to be get the foreground in place with these very broad strokes and this idea. And then get the foreground of this figure and everything kind of placed. And then focus right here first. Because that's the most important point of this entire painting is right here. Get that down, get the interest in, and then the rest of it I think is going to be golden. And see how much I can keep painterly and nondescript to see if the painting still works. Yeah, definitely. There will be, here's one thing I want to show you guys, and how was influenced to do this. I'm going to find it. I'm going to show you the Greg Witowski video. I'm not going to show you the whole thing because you have to pay for it in order to see it. Oh geez, where'd it go?
Oh guys.
Nope. I want to open this with VLC. I'm going to pause it And I just want to show you a still from this video, and give you an example of where he starts, you know, how rough his painting starts. And then maybe a picture of the end of it. So here you go. This is, he's actually pulling from this image here, a lot of this coloration from this image that he did some adjustment to before. But look how rough this painting is at the beginning. Just really juicy kind of strokes of, you know, painterly strokes through everything. And I would say that the painting is done at this point. You know, the most of what was defined is already defined. I know there's some boats and stuff and a figure that comes in down here later in the painting. But it's wonderful to see how rough things start. And then I'll take you to the end of the painting to show you where it goes to from there. And this is where his painting ends up. Isn't that just freaking beautiful? Yeah. And what's great about it is there's so much here that was already there within that first point in the painting that I showed you. Yeah, if you're interested in learning how to paint like he does, which I am, you know, in the process that he goes through, I would highly recommend getting that on ArtStation. Let me show you again what it's called. Oh, I closed it. But Greg Witowski on ArtStation. It's inside of his shop. It's how to paint traditionally, like a traditional painter in Photoshop, basically. Yeah, fantastic. Super influencing to me. All right, thank you for joining me. I will be here again tomorrow morning. And yeah, we'll be continuing on this painting again. Weeks and weeks on this painting. I'll be getting to the next one soon, hopefully. Or taking this directly into oil painting and showing you how I would work this into oil. Thanks, guys. Have a wonderful week or day.